Welcome to week 3. This week we're going to be talking about ethnicity. So, usually when we talk about differences in types of people, we have a tendency to use race, ethnicity, and nationality almost interchangeably. But they're not the same, and we need to be able to recognize how they're different. These differences are important, and not seeing them tends to erase facets of people's identities. Race is primarily about physical characteristics. We go first by skin tone, then visible characteristics like nose and eye shape, hair texture, and to some degree body shape. Ethnicity is specifically about culture, or cultural heritage. Culture is a shared social identity based on things like language, foods, music, clothing, and history. It's a learned identity. We are not born knowing culture. However, we are born into groups with cultural history, and we are often associated with that cultural history, regardless of how much we actually know or practice cultural traditions. When we talk about ethnicity, we are most often talking about that cultural heritage. Nationality is all about location. A physical location can have people of many different races and cultures with a shared national identity. This is particularly strong in the United States. In most other countries, historically, there has not been a lot of diversity of race, and usually only a few cultural groups, although increased globalization has definitely started to change that. The United States, by contrast, has as a country always been a nation where almost everyone was originally from somewhere else. With so much variety in race and culture, our national identity is particularly important in helping us feel a connection with those who live in the same physical area. Most of us are pretty well versed in breaking down our own identities. For example, my race and my family's race is white. My ethnicity is both Jewish and what we commonly refer to as white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. My father and his family are Jewish. My mother and her family are a mixture of English, Welsh, Irish, and Scottish. My nationality is American. My father's family came from what was then called Galicia, which is now a part of Ukraine. My mother's family came from what is now Great Britain. I'd like for you to pause here for a minute and think about breaking down your own identity. Since we commonly stereotype, as make assumptions about people based on race, we have a tendency to ignore their ethnicity and nationality, and thus miss a lot about who they are. We might recognize someone as Asian, but we usually don't differentiate very well what that person's nationality is, and we are often completely ignorant of the various cultural groups that exist within those countries. A Chinese Uyghur is very different from a Japanese Ainu in almost every way, yet we still refer to both as Asian. Digging past skin color allows us to understand people better.